The memory of that particular day when Alex initially shared this tale with me remains vivid in my mind. A day that began as unremarkably as countless others, yet transformed into one he would carry forever. Alex ranks among my dearest companions. We first crossed paths during our university years, experiencing numerous happy occasions and challenging periods side by side. Even now, having transitioned into our professional careers, our bond endures stronger than ever. Alex maintains employment within a state legislative office, functioning as support staff for a highly esteemed and influential senator who leads a crucial budget committee. His responsibilities demand constant attention, though Alex maintains his status as one of the most composed, courteous, and thoughtful individuals in my acquaintance, consistently welcoming guests with genuine warmth while ensuring everyone feels comfortable. One particularly endearing trait about Alex, something I've always found delightful, involves his enthusiasm for acquiring exquisite fountain pens. Every pen in his collection holds its own narrative, a treasured recollection or significant achievement. During this specific day, the office experienced unusual congestion. The senator had arranged an important conference, and numerous guests waited anxiously for their appointments. Alex occupied his workspace near the entry point, acknowledging visitors with his characteristic friendly, professional manner. At that moment, a woman approached his station, presenting herself as a delegate from an artistic organization. Her purpose involved requesting financial support for a major undertaking, a considerable grant totaling $250,000. This woman, whom Alex subsequently dubbed Lobby Ann with humor, arrived at his desk displaying somewhat impatient expressions, promptly requesting to borrow writing materials. Alex responded with polite courtesy, indicating a container filled with complimentary pens, all featuring the senator's identification and emblem. These writing instruments appeared attractive and professional, specifically positioned for guests to utilize freely. However, Lobby Ann expressed displeasure with the offered implements, making a rather unusual statement. "Should I employ one of those writing tools, the senator will recognize I failed to bring my own." When Alex later relayed this particular detail, I found myself chuckling. Why would someone concern themselves excessively over such an insignificant matter? As Alex paused uncertainly, wondering how to proceed, Labian's attention suddenly focused on his workspace. At that precise moment, Alex was utilizing his personal writing instrument, a distinctive gift from his university period, an elegant fountain pen masterfully constructed with a lapis blue exterior. The pen bore his name engraved alongside the year he participated in a campus organization. This wasn't merely any writing tool. It represented a valuable keepsake containing considerable sentimental significance. In an instant, Lobby Ann casually extended her hand, seized Alex's prized pen, and deposited it into her handbag as though it were simply another expendable office item. Alex remained motionless momentarily, completely astounded. Though typically very courteous and conflict-avoidant, this audacious act of claiming something so precious and personal left him profoundly disturbed. Alex spoke quietly yet firmly. "Pardon me. However, that belongs to me personally. I cannot permit you to take it." Lobby Ann fixed him with a frigid stare, responding not with apologies or explanations, but with vicious, hurtful language, a sequence of insults that deeply wounded Alex. Though I wasn't physically present when Alex subsequently described this encounter, I felt as if I'd observed the harshness directly. A sense of powerlessness engulfed Alex as Lobby Ann departed, without remorse, abandoning him with his emotions of bewilderment and pain. Yet what Alex couldn't have anticipated at that instant was that merely minutes afterward, when the senator emerged to escort Lobby Ann into her office, Alex would make a courageous choice, a decision sufficiently powerful to alter everything. This marked precisely the pivotal moment where Alex's narrative became truly fascinating, when he would not only recover his beloved pen, but also courageously protect his dignity and personal principles. As Alex shared this portion of his story with me, I felt my pulse quicken, eagerly awaiting what would follow. I'm certain that, just like myself, you're now curious to discover exactly how Alex discovered the resolve to advocate for himself, transforming an ordinary day into a memory that invariably brought happiness to his expression whenever he recounted it. Alex felt his heartbeat falter as he observed Lobianne nonchalantly place his precious lapis pen into her purse. For a fleeting instant, he sat stunned, barely comprehending what he had just witnessed. The boldness, the complete disregard. Everything about the action conveyed arrogance and entitlement. Though Alex remained consistently polite and diplomatic, he initially wavered, uncertain how to address such a brazen transgression. Mustering his bravery, he finally cleared his throat softly and managed a nervous, courteous smile. "Pardon me," he spoke gently, his voice composed, yet slightly strained with incredulity. "I apologize, but that writing instrument you just claimed, it actually belongs to me." Lobianne, who had already turned from him, froze momentarily before slowly rotating around. Her expression displayed mild irritation mixed with disbelief that anyone would dare challenge her. "Excuse me?" she snapped back harshly, her eyes narrowing, clearly annoyed at being questioned. Alex felt warmth rise in his cheeks, a wave of embarrassment and discomfort washing over him. He despised confrontation, particularly in a public environment where colleagues were beginning to glance in their direction curiously. Yet the pen held far too much meaning for him to simply surrender it. With gentle resolve, he repeated, "The writing instrument you just removed from my desk. It's not among the promotional pens. It's actually my personal pen and holds considerable sentimental value for me." He paused briefly, hoping the sincerity in his tone would suffice for Lobianne to recognize her error and quietly return the pen. Instead of appearing apologetic or embarrassed, she scoffed dismissively, her mouth twisting into a contemptuous smirk. Her eyes flashed with defiance as she seemed to evaluate Alex, almost challenging him to continue pressing. "Oh, please," Lobianne drawled loudly enough for others nearby to overhear. "I think we both understand you can easily obtain another pen. It's merely a writing instrument, after all." Her words sliced through Alex like a blade, but before he could formulate another polite response, Lobianne leaned in slightly closer, her voice lowered but dripping with cruelty. "Or does this concern something else?" she sneered, her eyes cold and mocking. Alex felt a chill descend his spine, knowing instinctively that whatever approach next would be painful. Lobianne's voice dropped even further, becoming venomous, each word precisely targeted to injure. "Honestly, I hadn't realized people like you could even purchase pens like that," she hissed, her words loaded with a clear, deliberate slur. Whether referencing his Asian background or his perceived sexuality, Alex couldn't quite determine. Perhaps it was cruelty, aimed at both. Either way, her insult cut through his dignity, leaving him momentarily paralyzed by shock and hurt. Around him, the world seemed to blur. He felt exposed, vulnerable, as though every gaze in the office suddenly fixed upon him, judging him, pitying him. The weight of her insult felt heavy, pressing down on him, making it difficult even to breathe. Lobianne, apparently satisfied with the pain she'd inflicted, straightened up again, smiled condescendingly, and turned abruptly to depart. Alex opened his mouth desperately to respond, to defend himself, to regain some sense of control, but no words emerged. The cruelty of her remark had completely blindsided him, and in that instant he felt utterly powerless. He had always prided himself on maintaining professionalism, dignity, and kindness, even during difficult circumstances. But now, standing there alone in the center of the office, Alex felt exposed and humiliated, silently enduring the pain. He sank slowly back into his chair, his eyes fixed blankly on the desk before him, the spot where the pen had rested just moments earlier, The shock of the insult combined with the sheer disbelief of the theft left him feeling numb. He always believed the best of people, trusted in basic human decency. Yet here he sat, confronted harshly by an ugliness he hadn't anticipated. Alex's colleagues, sensing something was amiss, quietly returned to their tasks, uncomfortable and uncertain how to intervene. The silence in the office felt thick, oppressive, broken only by the distant murmur of Labian, chatting casually in the waiting area, as if nothing had occurred. Alex felt deeply betrayed, not just by Labian's cruelty, but also by his own inability to defend himself immediately. He clenched his fists beneath the desk, breathing slowly, trying desperately to regain composure. Each second that passed intensified the sense of helplessness. Thoughts raced through his mind. Should he confront her again? Should he report this behavior? Would anyone even believe him or care about a seemingly minor theft, even though it symbolized something far more damaging? Every option seemed difficult and overwhelming. Alex's usually composed, organized mind felt chaotic, caught between the humiliation he'd suffered and the fear of creating a bigger scene. He could feel the burning sensation behind his eyes, fighting back tears, not just from the embarrassment or loss of the pen, but from the profound sadness of being treated with such disrespect. Yet amid this turmoil, a small, steady flame began to flicker inside him, a flame born from anger, yes, but also from dignity, pride, and self-worth. Alex knew that he couldn't let this injustice pass unnoticed, couldn't allow himself to remain silent under such deliberate cruelty. But right at that moment, his confidence was fragile, uncertain how to proceed. So he sat momentarily immobilized, wrestling quietly with the mixture of hurt, anger, and embarrassment. He knew he would need to take action soon to find some way of reclaiming his dignity and confronting the humiliation. But for now, in that painful silence, Alex could only wait, gathering his strength and resolve, preparing himself to rise again from this moment of temporary defeat. Alex stayed positioned at his workstation, heart pounding furiously, palms moist and shaking beneath the facade. Each passing moment seemed to magnify the shame and unfairness he experienced. Yet within that chaos emerged a growing sense of determination, a quiet fortitude rooted in dignity and self-regard. The soft conversation in the reception area was suddenly interrupted as the senator's office entrance opened wide. Alex looked up reflexively, observing Senator Margaret Harris stepping elegantly into the lobby. Her welcoming and commanding presence immediately dominated the space. Her gaze swept the area briefly before settling on Labian, who stood eagerly, her demeanor transforming instantly into an enchanting smile, a sharp contrast to the frigid contempt she'd shown Alex moments earlier. "Labian, wonderful to see you," the senator welcomed cordially, offering her hand. Labian enthusiastically accepted it, exchanging courtesies and smoothly adopting a pleasant attitude. Alex observed quietly, experiencing a sharp pang in his chest. How effortlessly she displayed this facade, he reflected, hiding the nastiness underneath. As they proceeded together toward the private office, their route led them directly past Alex's workstation. His heart pounded agonizingly against his chest. The crucial moment had come. Every aspect of his being desired to stay quiet, to prevent confrontation. Yet he understood deeply that silence would constitute surrender, a betrayal of his own dignity. Drawing upon every bit of bravery, Alex rose from his seat in one fluid, decisive movement. The sudden action caught both women's notice, and they halted mid-stride, turning toward him. Senator Harris's expression showed curiosity, her eyebrows slightly raised in silent inquiry. Labian, however, displayed barely concealed irritation, a flash of anxiety crossing her features briefly before she quickly covered it with a forced, courteous smile. "Alex, is everything satisfactory?" Senator Harris inquired gently, her voice radiating authentic concern. Alex inhaled deeply, steadying himself. His voice, when he spoke, was remarkably composed, yet filled with firm, unwavering precision. "Senator Harris, I regret interrupting, but there's something crucial I must address." "Certainly, Alex," she responded immediately, stepping slightly nearer. Her presence was comforting, but Alex's pulse raced faster nonetheless. He turned deliberately toward Labiane, meeting her icy stare with quiet strength. "Labiane," he stated clearly, his voice echoing through the now silent office. "I require my pen back, the one you removed from my desk without authorization." A profound silence filled the room instantly. Labiane's face flushed deeply, eyes widening briefly before narrowing again into defensive hostility. She laughed awkwardly, shaking her head dismissively. "Really, Alex? You're disrupting a serious conversation over something insignificant like a pen?" Alex refused to be discouraged. Instead, he maintained his calm demeanor, unrelenting. "It may appear insignificant to you," he replied steadily, "but that pen holds deep personal significance for me. More crucially, the way in which you took it and the disrespectful language you used afterward were entirely unacceptable." The senator turned sharply, perceiving the gravity of Alex's statements. Her previously calm manner shifted subtly, her posture straightening, her gaze intensifying with concern. "Disrespectful language," she repeated quietly, confusion and concern clearly mixing on her features. Labiane's expression changed rapidly from annoyance to panic, obviously caught unprepared. "Senator, honestly, this is merely a misunderstanding," she said hastily, attempting a light tone that fell completely flat in the charged atmosphere. But Alex wasn't retreating, not this time. He stepped forward, voice firm yet respectful, ensuring each word carried clearly throughout the office. "Labiane, there's no misunderstanding," Alex declared firmly. "When I politely requested my pen's return, you chose to insult me openly, using hateful language targeting either my ethnicity or my perceived sexuality. I can't even be certain which." Soft gasps echoed around the room as the impact of his words settled heavily upon everyone present. Senator Harris's eyes widened, her entire demeanor shifting to one of visible shock and deep concern. Labiane, visibly panicked, attempted to interject. "Senator, this is absurd. I never—" Alex's voice rose slightly, cutting through her denial with quiet intensity. "You use slurs against me, words I'm uncomfortable even repeating, but to ensure clarity, you specifically called me—" Alex hesitated for a heartbeat, feeling the painful sting of her hateful words again. He swallowed hard, gathering his strength. "You specifically called me a twink, or possibly something equally offensive related to my heritage. Either way, you clearly intended to demean and humiliate me." The senator turned sharply toward Labiane, her gaze cold and penetrating. Every trace of warmth vanished from her expression. "Labiane," she demanded sternly, "is this accurate? Did you insult Alex in such a degrading manner?" Labiane's composure shattered visibly, her confident facade crumbling, revealing panic and desperation. Senator Harris, it was a joke. I didn't mean anything by it, truly." Alex shook his head, sadness and strength intermingling in his steady voice. "It wasn't a joke. It was cruel, intentional, and completely inappropriate. You took my pen casually, dismissively, as if you had every right to disrespect me. Your words revealed far more about your character than they did about me." His quiet dignity filled the room, every eye fixed on him with admiration and respect. Senator Harris exhaled sharply, clearly shaken by the revelation. "Labiane, return Alex's pen immediately," she demanded firmly, her voice carrying the weight of authority. Labiane, visibly trembling now, hastily fumbled through her purse, retrieving Alex's beautiful lapis pen. She handed it back wordlessly, her eyes averted, cheeks burning with shame. Alex accepted the pen, holding it securely in his palm, feeling a rush of relief and reclaimed dignity flowing through him. Senator Harris's tone remained stern, leaving no room for misunderstanding. I deeply value respect and professionalism in this office, and your actions today have violated those principles entirely. Your project and our future interactions are now in serious jeopardy. Lobby Ann, defeated and speechless, tried weakly to protest, but Senator Harris silenced her immediately with a gesture. There's nothing more to discuss. You may leave now. Lobby Ann, humiliated, turned away quickly, making her way toward the exit under the scrutinizing gaze of everyone present. Alex stood quietly, feeling both exhausted and empowered, the pen firmly clasped in his hand, a symbol of dignity reclaimed. Senator Harris placed a comforting hand gently on his shoulder, her voice soft yet full of genuine admiration. Thank you, Alex, for having the courage to speak up. What she did was unacceptable. I'm deeply sorry you experienced that in this office. Alex met her eyes gratefully, feeling the sincere support behind her words. His chest swelled slightly, the pain of humiliation fading quickly under the healing strength of dignity and respect regained. In that powerful emotional moment, Alex realized he had done more than simply reclaim a cherished possession. He had reclaimed himself, finding strength and dignity deep within, forever changing how he viewed his own courage and worth. A heavy silence hung in the air, tense and uncomfortable. Lady Ann stood frozen, her confident demeanor utterly shattered. Her eyes darted nervously between Alex and Senator Harris, desperately seeking a lifeline, but it was clear none was forthcoming. Senator Harris turned toward Lobby Ann, her voice calm but deeply firm. Lobby Ann, she said steadily, your behavior today has crossed several serious lines of basic respect, integrity, and decency. Alex is an invaluable member of this office, and I will not tolerate such blatant disrespect toward anyone here. Lobby Ann, clearly stunned, opened her mouth to speak, but the senator raised a hand swiftly, silencing her. The senator's authoritative gaze hardened. Return Alex's pen immediately, she repeated, her tone leaving no room for argument. With trembling fingers, Lady Ann slowly reached into her purse, her movement stiff with humiliation. She retrieved the lapis pen and handed it carefully back to Alex, unable to meet his eyes. Alex accepted it silently, his fingers closing gently around its familiar weight. Relief and quiet pride surged through him, washing away the lingering sting of humiliation. Senator Harris nodded decisively, satisfaction evident in her eyes. Now, she continued firmly, directing her full attention toward Lady Ann, given your actions today, I must be perfectly clear. Your project, regardless of its merits, cannot move forward with my support. Trust and respect are fundamental in this office, and you've thoroughly undermined both. Lobby Ann's face turned ghostly pale, her carefully maintained composure crumbling further. Senator Harris, please, she began to plead, desperation coloring her voice. The senator shook her head once sharply, cutting off Leanne's plea. This decision is final, she declared resolutely. You've shown me clearly who you are through your actions, and I believe it. The consequences for such disrespectful behavior must be clear. With that, Senator Harris turned toward her office door, calmly gesturing for Alex to follow her. Lady Ann stood rooted to the spot, stunned into silence, watching helplessly as her chance at securing vital funding evaporated before her very eyes. Alex moved to follow the senator, still clutching his beloved pen. As he stepped toward the senator's office, he briefly glanced back at Lady Ann. She stood isolated, visibly shaken, her shoulders slumped in defeat. For the first time, he saw a genuine realization in her eyes, the realization that actions had consequences, and hers had just cost her dearly. The senator ushered Alex into her inner office, then paused purposefully at the threshold, turning one last time toward Lady Ann, who was lingering uncertainly. We're finished here, Senator Harris said simply, her tone icy, and with a deliberate, unmistakable gesture, she closed the office door firmly in Labian's stunned face. Within the tranquil atmosphere of the senator's office, Alex released a deep breath, feeling stress lift from his shoulders. Senator Harris observed him with warmth, authentic respect gleaming in her eyes. "Alex, I want you to understand how extraordinarily proud I am of you for defending yourself today," she expressed kindly, her voice gentle yet filled with sincere admiration. "You demonstrated remarkable dignity under very challenging circumstances." Alex smiled, his voice soft but steady. "Thank you, Senator. I value your support more than you realize." She nodded thoughtfully, smiling gently. Then, almost conspiratorially, she reached for her purse, eyes twinkling slightly with playful mischief. "Come on," she said warmly. "Let's step outside and grab a coffee from Starbucks. I think we both could use it after today." Minutes later, Alex and Senator Harris found themselves comfortably seated at a quiet table, sipping their beverages and quietly reflecting. Through the window, Alex could clearly see the office entrance. He couldn't suppress a satisfied smile when Labian emerged from the building, her posture hunched, defeat etched plainly across her features. Her eyes flickered upward, meeting Alex's gaze momentarily through the glass, recognition and embarrassment flooding her expression as she hurried away down the street. Alex felt a sense of profound vindication watching her retreat. Her humiliation was entirely self-inflicted, a direct result of the arrogance and cruelty she'd displayed. The rejection she'd received today wasn't merely symbolic. It meant the practical end of her cherished project. Without Senator Harris's crucial backing, Labian's prospects were grim at best. The senator caught Alex's quiet smile and chuckled softly. "Justice has a funny way of sorting itself out, doesn't it?" she murmured warmly. Alex nodded, laughing quietly. "It certainly does," he agreed, "and today it feels especially satisfying." Together they sat in comfortable silence, savoring not just their coffees but the deeper satisfaction that comes when fairness and dignity ultimately prevail. Alex knew that Labian's defeat was not just about the loss of funding. It was the deserved outcome for someone who had chosen arrogance over respect, entitlement over empathy. For Alex, the events of that day offered an unforgettable lesson about courage, integrity, and self-worth. But more importantly, they offered undeniable proof that standing up for oneself, even when difficult, always mattered deeply. And so, as he sipped his coffee, pen safely tucked into his pocket, Alex felt completely at peace, knowing that justice had finally, satisfyingly, and undeniably been served. Alex took another slow, satisfying sip of his coffee, the comforting warmth spreading gently through his chest. Sitting across from Senator Harris, he felt lighter than he'd felt in a long time. Both of them watched quietly as Labian disappeared down the street, defeated and humbled. It was a powerful moment of clarity for Alex, a reminder that dignity, respect, and courage always find their way to victory, even against the harshest disrespect. Turning back to Senator Harris, Alex smiled gratefully. She returned his gaze warmly, setting her cup down gently. "Feeling better now?" she asked kindly, her eyes sparkling with gentle humor. Alex nodded with a quiet laugh. "Much better," he admitted softly, his voice carrying both relief and gratitude. "Honestly, Senator, this might sound silly, but right now this is the best coffee I've ever had." She laughed warmly, nodding understanding. "I think I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes it's not the coffee itself, but what it symbolizes: victory, justice, or simply standing up for what's right." They shared a gentle laugh, both understanding exactly what this moment represented. It wasn't merely the triumph over Labian's arrogance. It was about reclaiming self-respect, dignity, and the power of having a supportive ally when it mattered most. Alex leaned back, holding his cup thoughtfully, reflecting deeply on the day's events. "You know, he continued gently. "This entire experience taught me something important, something I won't forget." Senator Harris tilted her head slightly, curious and encouraging. "What's that?" Alex smiled warmly, eyes thoughtful. "It taught me the value of standing firm in your own truth, even when it's uncomfortable or challenging. Today I learned it's okay to demand respect. Everyone deserves dignity, no exceptions." Senator Harris nodded, her eyes gentle but proud. "Exactly, Alex. I'm glad you realize that, and I'm proud of how you handled yourself today." With that comforting thought, Alex set down his cup, feeling content, grateful, and hopeful, knowing his voice had made a difference and would continue to inspire others to find their courage too.